Alright, everybody, daily reflections time. Then we're done with me today. I've had a lot of people ask me to start up daily reflections again and start up uh, get it, the things we've used to do. So I promised everybody I would, and that's what I'm gonna do. I can only do if I can't get things to work right. I'll be right. Okay, that ain't gonna work right. So we're not gonna do that. I was going to do something fun. All right, we'll get started here in just a second. Give me a second. I just finished off that. If any of you guys got to join me tonight, so now we're going to do daily reflections, and we're going to go over. I need to figure out. We did it last time. We talked about positive things throughout the day. Okay, we were going over some of the things that were positive and things that we can improve on, and we kept it under 20 minutes, which I'll do this with us. So okay. And I know people don't want me. Not everybody wants to hear what I do. Live right now, doing it now. And no, this is not business. This is just going over some of the stuff. So we had our meeting today with the Marine Corps League, which went really well. And daily reflections is kind of important with that because there's a lot of Marines. I don't know if you guys knew that September was Suicide Awareness Month. I'm not sure if you guys knew that, but it was. And it took a special hit this year because each year it just seems like we're doubling, if not tripling, the people that we actually know from year to year. And I went back to think about several of the people that I know for a fact committed suicide. Others died of natural causes or cancer or, accidents. And that's always one of the reasons why it's good to take a few minutes at the beginning of the day or the end of the day and go over all the positive things you have going on in life. In my life, I've got a lot of positive stuff. I have my daughter, I have my dad, I have my friends, I have my career, what I do. I also have all the different events I get to partake in and everything else. Is my life perfect? No, it's nowhere close to being perfect. A lot of people have caught on that right now I am fighting some battles in court for my daughter right now. There's a lot of things that people don't always understand, but because I choose to live my life with letting people know maybe there's something I have to offer somebody and showing others, but I like to show through example. So me doing this kind of stuff is me living my life through an example, meaning that I don't fear what people say or think about me because I know other people are going through same situations. I know a lot of people think I'm comfortable doing this because I do it all the time. Believe it or not, I'm not. I never have been. I do it because one of my scriptures and a bunch of my friends for years always told me, if you have something to offer somebody, and if you have something to be able to change a life or make a difference, you should do it. And the reason why I'm bringing back daily reflections is because I had a lot of people tell me it mattered to them. I never thought I was doing any good, and like I said, I'm helping anybody else can be on me. But if that is important to each and every one of you, I want you to understand that me getting out here, I'm embarrassed of the mistakes I make. I'm embarrassed because when I put stuff out there, I know my grammar's not always the greatest. I know that my punctuation is terrible, and I know that, people are like, oh my God, he didn't use the theirs right, or he didn't spell the here or the they are, or, and I get that. And to me, I don't like that because, yes, I do mess them up because I go fast sometimes. But I also know the reason why I keep pushing forward is because somewhere it's resonating. There's somebody else out there like me that won't come out of their shell. They won't, do what needs to be done in order to make their life better because no one's asking them to. No one's reaching out, reaching down to them. I've had people in my life, they've told me, the ones that have depression, okay, the ones that have the pain, the ones that, you can look at maybe a grandparent or a mom or dad and know that they're looking at you the way that they look at kids. They're looking like the hero. They're looking like nothing can bother them. They're looking like everything is okay. When we all know that it's not. But that's where they want us to. That's the way they want to appear. They will do that until the day of death. But the problem is they're not reaching out to anybody. They're not reaching up. They're not confiding in everybody. They're taking on the burden of the world on their own. And sometimes when I tell people that you matter every day, somebody's off guard, not realizing, they're like, oh man, he thinks I matter. You're right, I do. And I actually mean it too. But, then there's those other people out there that they're not reaching for anybody, but, they kind of get that little bit of energy in them because, they're like, he's right. Maybe if I go out there and I apply myself a little bit harder, and everybody else, where'd you get this? Well, I got this from my dad. I got this stuff from my grandpas. I got this stuff from my grandmas. Okay, I've got my knowledge from aunts and uncles. It wasn't the books I read. I do read books, and I encourage people to. But it's just life lessons I have learned over the years. Kind of like the life lesson of faith and religion. Corny story. When I was young, my cousins were like, oh, there's no such thing as God and all this other stuff. And I grew up Catholic. And, I was a kid, to me, it's kind of like Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, stuff like that. That's not what it is. But as a kid, you understand. So I went up to Father Barry, and Father John Beveridge was in our church. But Father Barry was teaching at this time. He was the priest in the church. And I asked Father Barry, I was like, Father Barry, and he goes, and I was like, I was told you're going to tell me otherwise, but why does everybody say the earth was created by like the Big Bang? And he goes, probably it was. It threw me for a shocker, because I looked at him like, I thought you believed that God made the earth. He's like, I do believe God made the earth. He goes, but how it was made can always be talked about. Remember, I was a young kid at the time, and I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I want you to think about something, and he goes, I can see where you're going for this, and he goes, I've heard your questions and stuff over the years. He goes, I want you to just think about one thing. He goes, explain that piece of dust that may have created the Big Bang. Explain what caused the energy of the Big Bang. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, we look at the things that we read as literal instead of looking at them in a way to where there's no way we can understand, because the only possible thing for it is God being. And so to me that actually strengthened my belief, because he's right. What causes something? And of course you can't say where it came from, you can't say where God came from, nobody can give you those answers because they just don't exist. Science can keep proving things on and on again, but there's one thing they will never be able to explain. That's how we became into existence. And we can't explain death either. Nobody can. Even though they like to say they can, they cannot. So I started looking at it in a way to where, I studied many, many different religions. Not because I practiced them, but I studied them because I find religion fascinating, because it's a history of culture, a history of a people that may be extinct long ago. And it's kind of like if you went back 10 generations, you would not understand what the people are talking about, because language changes also. So the way people enunciate, the words that people say, if you go back 10 generations, I think they said it's 10 generations, you will never understand what they're saying. We have to translate even English. So to me, science, and then Father, he continued on, he goes, who do you think has more scientists and more astronomers than anywhere else? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, our faith, our religion has more astronomers, has more scientists than anywhere else. You know why? Because science and religion go one-on-one. He goes, what is religion really doing to people? I mean, does having a God or believing in God really change anything? Does it affect somebody's life because you believe and somebody else doesn't? He goes, you can't take offense. He goes, but that's why millions, if not billions of people have died, or, over the smallest ideology, the smallest change. And that's what got me believing and getting hope and everything else. And I guess I had a curiosity since I just around that time lost my mom and everything, and I was just trying to put it all together. But he goes, faith is what gets you. He goes, it's not a matter of where everything came from. It's the matter of how far, are you willing to believe that there's more in life. He goes, in the end, it's energy. In the end, we are all a creation of something. I was like, it sounds a lot right. Now, granted, he was trying to talk on my level at the time. But as I got older, I took that with me, and I realized I went to a public school system. I had friends of different religions. They all, yeah, we go to church, okay, yay. And then, I when I was in the Marine Corps, I went to different religions because I wanted to just know and hear what different things was about and everything. Believe it or not, you get more history in that stuff than you do in everyday history. And it amazed me, how similar things were, but also how far apart things are. To give you an idea, I went to one of the churches down south, with one of my buddies, and it was one of those snake churches. Like, oh my God, I literally almost ran out of there. I just don't like snakes. But it's amazing what people believe and what they think and do. And technically, atheism and stuff like that is almost its own religion in itself. One of my friends, great friend, Sergeant, what was his name? Anyway, he was a Wicca, and he was hurt really bad mentally because when him and his wife, which were both Wicca, went to Japan, one of their ceremonial pieces they brought with them for their religion, they didn't know they weren't allowed to bring it. The Japanese, when it got to the airport, confiscated it and melted it down without their permission because they did not believe in that kind of stuff. And all they wanted to do was send it back home, but the Japanese have a strict policy, and when it got down there, so they lost a very, one of their family artifacts, I guess you could say. Now, what does all this have to do with daily reflections, okay? Just because I believe in God doesn't mean you have to. Just because I believe there's a higher power, that doesn't mean you have to. I have always been taught to lead by example. When I'm telling somebody they matter, I mean it. I found today I was getting frustrated as the comment on the Marine Corps League. I found myself getting frustrated. I was getting frustrated because there's a virus going around right now that is deadly to those that I love and care about. However, I'm also watching others that I love and care about, not working, losing jobs, not being able to do different things. And, you have to sacrifice one for the other. And I see people on both sides, for and against masks. I see people right now with this political season right now, and I just see nothing but hate and hurt and control. Everybody wants to control. Everybody wants to force people. And personally, because I work with autistic kids, I work with Down syndrome, I work with muscular dystrophy, I still work in a lot of different, with older military veterans and stuff like that, I will always take precautions. You'll see me at home a lot more, so I do not get around anybody, because when I do have to get around somebody, I will wear a mask and everything else, because even a common cold can kill some of the people that I know. So to me, I do it for the health of people that would get hurt because they're weak in immune systems and everything else. Because I got a father at home who I love who's not sick, and I do not want to get him sick. And because I know I have friends out there that got kids that these kids are beautiful, they're magnificent. These kids, they've grown, and but they've got disabilities, and their disabilities, if they get one thing, can take them in a heartbeat. So you always want to be cautious. So what are we reflecting on right now? Well, right now, instead of looking as bad, you can actually pick up the phone and call somebody, which you haven't called in a long, long time. In fact, I just saw on LinkedIn, believe it or not, one of my older friends, Nathan Johnson, great friend of mine, and hopefully he'll give me a call, because I just reached out to him because I ain't seen him forever. Now he's out in the Marine Corps. He was an awesome recruiter. He was an awesome friend years ago, and he's been out now for a while. And so I reached out to him because I'd seen him in a while. I met a couple new Marines because they needed help, but they've got some awesome stories. And we always know what yellow footprints are, and it's fun and it makes us happy. And all of a sudden, it kind of takes the worries of the world when you're talking to somebody. It kind of gives us that little peace of mind. Marines come in every single political. Trust me when I say they'll argue with each other to blue in the face, but you know what? They're not going to wish anybody dead. They're not going to spew hate. Okay, we may joke around with ourselves, but we know where to stop. Okay, believe it or not, we sometimes graduated from crayons to markers. So how does this have anything to do with you or me? Because you have to take out the good things throughout the day. The good things throughout the day is I made my bed this morning. Yay, small victory. You wouldn't believe it, but when you have a lot of negative stuff going on you, it's that small victory that makes you feel good. Okay? We had people show up to the Marine Corps League meeting that normally wouldn't, but they spaced out and they wore masks. That's a victory. We had people calling in to our lines today when I was doing 3 business calls, and I got more business calls tomorrow, but they were calling in to get information. That's a small victory because I can help people. I had several truckers, 2 farmers, and somebody else call me today and say, oh my gosh, your lawyers were... That to me is a small victory because I was able to help them. Okay? Now, small victories are kind of like relationships. It's the small things you do that build up over time that matter more than anything else. It's those small memories you made with all those Marines, because when I tell you, when you're in, trust me, you don't get along. You love each other, but you just hate each other. It's like, but then all of a sudden you're gone, you're like, man, and all you do is you reflect on the good things. But that's how we survive, is we can always get rid of the negative and pull up all the positive stuff. Sometimes you just need to get away from each other a little bit, kind of like brothers and sisters and stuff like that, Lord knows you guys fought when you were little, and as you got older, but you could actually reflect on the vacations and the times and the Christmases and holidays and everything, and those were always a positive outcome. So this being Monday, I thought today would be a great day to start looking at all the positives that you had for today. First, you got health. You're not below the ground right now. There you go. Number one victory. You're alive. I don't care what kind of pains you got, and I don't care that you're alive. That's a miracle. Look at everything it takes for your body to wake up every day so that you can actually be beneficial to yourself. If you're beneficial to yourself, you're going to be beneficial to those around you. If you're beneficial to around you, you're going to be beneficial to society. And that is always a positive thing. So that being said, tonight, as you're going to sleep, or if you watch this or read this, I'm going to start ending it here now. I want you to each know that there's nothing that you can do that cannot be forgiven. Sometimes the reason why we're so miserable in life is we forget to forgive ourselves, and we carry this burden around with us thinking that everybody sees it. Going back to what I told you earlier, I don't like doing this stuff. I know my grammar's wrong. I know I go all over the place. I know I talk. My grandma always told me, I talk too fast. But it's who I am, and I do work on it, and I do know people are judging me, and I don't like that. It's something that will always bother me. But I have more people tell me that they're grateful I prayed for them. They're grateful that I recognized who they were. You'll see that I put people's names on my page just so they know that they matter. Sometimes, I had to ask forgiveness from people that I was not the nicest to. And I've forgiven those that weren't nice to me. And by doing that, it lifts a really big weight off your shoulder. And you don't get so upset when other things happen anymore, because now you're not carrying that burden anymore. Because it's funny, when there's more and more burdens on us, it's like the weight of the world, That's why you have to forgive yourself. And you have to mean it. You have to forgive others, but you have to mean it. One of the things I don't like is people that apologize all the time. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, if you're so quick at apologizing, then you don't mean the apology. I just learned to forgive everybody because, like I said, we make mistakes. Okay, there's not a single person out there that does not have sin. There's not a single person out there that has not messed up. He without sin let them throw the first stone. And that's what they said. Glass houses. The old saying. Just remember, whenever you're looking at somebody, make sure you're looking back at yourself through their eyes and how you want to see yourself. It doesn't matter what they think of you. It doesn't matter what they call you. It doesn't matter. We don't know what they're going through. There's some friends that I thought I was good friends with that blew up at me in the past. I didn't know what they're going through, but they're going through divorces. They're going through some really bad family time, So next time I got around them, I wasn't as loud as I usually am. And they apologized, and I kind of forgot what they did because they're my friends. And sometimes some of the worst things we have to forgive. We don't have to get around the people. That's why I say go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. It's because you don't have to get around them. But you do got to forgive them. You got to forgive them so you can move on. So you're not wasting space in your mind. You're more worried about what somebody thinks of you because what they said years ago, not realizing they already forgot about it, and here you're missing out on opportunities because you're afraid to get around them. I did that once with church when I was a kid. I kept telling my grandma and everybody else I was going to church. I wasn't. I was actually going around the playground. They let me go when I was a kid, and I missed a lot of church. And every time I went, I blamed God. I blamed everybody else for the deaths I was having in my family. And finally one day I walked through I couldn't do it. I literally couldn't open the doors. I was terrified. Like, you're a kid, you're going to a haunted house or something, and you're just terrified. You can't move because you don't know what's on the other side. Or as my babysitters used to do to me, there's a fake dog named Fred in the room that they couldn't turn the lights on, and Fred was going to get me. Yeah, that's what it was. Finally, I got enough courage to go in. And it's one of the first person that greeted me. It was one of those that I always looked at because he walked a little funny. Walked a little weird. Oh, how's your grandpa? How's your grandpa? Just nice as could be. For the next almost until I joined the Marine Corps, every time I went to Mass, I would actually go on a Sunday instead of a Saturday, and I'd actually stand in the back because he would always usher. Later on, his daughter would come into our establishment. She's older than me. But it's funny because, he raised a good family. And he was a good man. I just never got to know him until I was terrified to go into church. And I probably never would have got to know him. And, but it took a little bit of courage. It took me to forgive myself for allowing myself to blame everybody else for things that were out of everybody's control. I still go through that today. When you see pictures of my daughter and I, because I don't ever want to forget events. I don't want people to ever think that they can't do something with their kids. Everything I do, I try to educate. But I do it in my own way. Tonight, be great. Tonight, know that you matter. Tonight, know that all you got to do is forgive yourself and you can forgive the people. It's not about faith or religion. It's about letting go of the past so you can have a better future. It's about being great every single day of your life without ever having to make some Guinness Book of World Records or make the best. Being great does not mean anything more to anybody other than you. And you need to be great. Because the next person you talk to can have a chain reaction where you can actually be the cause of saving somebody's life and you'll never know it. So many people, they want credit for the things they do. I've done stuff that I've never told anybody. I work with people in areas that I don't show on here because it's no one's business. Why? I don't do it for the world. I do it because it makes me feel good. It makes them feel better about themselves. And I'm hoping that one day my daughter will be able to see that she'll be strong enough inside to know that, you know what, she is the keeper of her own destiny. I hope my nephews, they grow up and they understand that we're all different. That's what makes us great. But we never, ever can allow ourselves to lose who we are and our freedom of being individuals. You're great every day. Remember that. I'm talking to you. You, right now listening to this. I don't care if it's immediately right now or you're watching this 20 years from now. You matter. You make the choices. You make all the difference in the world. Because of you, you saved lives. You don't have to be a doctor to save a life. Sometimes you just have to be a better human being. And that, my friends, is where I'm going to end it today. Forgive yourself. Forgive others. Be a better human being. Be great tomorrow by being kind to someone. And always use communication. I'm Jeffrey Jansen. This is Daily Reflections. Have a good one, everybody. If I can figure out how to turn it off.